feel like this is gonna smoke up your living room.
That's what I have to say to that. Cheers and welcome, J. William Miller, to the Meals with a Meal podcast. This is our fourth full interview. Fifth, actually. I'm bad at counting. Please give an introduction to yourself if you don't mind.
Oh, I forgot what we were making. That was a surprise to me until now.
Why Navajo tacos?
Oh, dude, they're just bomb.
Well, there we go. That's a brief introduction of Jay and why we are cooking Navajo tacos, a deep and cherished meal of Jay's from childhood. Let's list out the ingredients that we have so far. Organic, grass-fed ground beef.
A knife.
After that, we have a cutting board.
This looks like turkey chili.
Does that say turkey on it?
It does. Is that wrong?
Oh, God.
Why? Is it not supposed to say that?
I meant to get beef chili.
Turkey's fine.
It's going to add to the flavor, though, of the
wrong with
ground
the bird.
beef. No.
Yeah.
We have two somewhat ripe Roma tomatoes.
Let's remind you of something.
I do.
This is a lime.
How firm is the lime?
It's actually not that firm. Like, it's a little squishier than I would have thought.
I think do you like the squishiness of the lime or no squishy lime?
I don't know what it means either way, so.
I don't either. Next, we have sour cream. They don't even like sour cream, but I got it because it's a topping item and I'm not going to limit my guest topping.
I actually hate sour cream too. So.
I'll be returning it to when I left my receipt at Winco. There we are. It's 99
That could have
cents.
been, yeah, I was going to say that could have been no more than $1.50.
It was 99 cents.
Yeah, let us look at this lettuce here.
And there's actually one more ingredient in the oven right now. That is the bread, which is now rising. What is the main challenge of digital marketing?
I think cutting through the noise. There's a lot of, like, getting someone's attention nowadays is way harder than it used to be. Because it's so easy to be public with things. Like, you go back before social media and advertising was like in public spaces or like on TV, in publications. And now, like, you can go and publish content whenever you like right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So
there's
there's
noise.
Yeah, there's so much more out there that's like accessible and that people can see. So it's yeah.
So I've done a little bit of research on SEO, and for the viewers who don't know, or the listeners who don't know what SEO is, it's search engine optimization. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, it's kind of like an essential thing.
Yeah. What?
AI is learning based on what it knows about you and what like your digital profile with whatever company, which is like pretty robust because without you, like, you consent to a lot of different things, but you don't really realize like they know when you buy things with your credit card. So like,
oh really?
Yeah, like so your cards are tied to you. They know, like, can pretty much figure out where you live, what's around you. They know your spending habits. They know, and it's not like someone knows and is spying on you. It's just like anytime a computer can see a piece of information and link it to you, it just continuously builds that profile.
I see.
So
and this is part of like kind of like the digital footprint or like profile that companies get of customers or of potential customers.
Oh yeah, when you use public Wi-Fi, you're consenting a lot of times to your data being shared.
I see.
So there was a company that, there was a church that was using this software where people would come into their church building and they would buy, or they would like log into the free Wi-Fi. And when they did that, no one reads a contract.
Right.
And so they didn't consent to, or they didn't know what they were consenting to, even though they did consent to it. And so all their information is then not just what they're doing at the church, anything that they've been doing that's logged on their phone. They would take all that info and put it into this software, and that software would filter out. And the main thing they were using it for was like to figure out which men were about to cheat on their wives.
Wow.
And then they would send them like marriage counseling ads.
Whoa.
It was like hyper focused. I was like, dude, this is it feels kind of what's that show, Black Mirror?
Yeah,
Or,
totally.
But I think most people don't realize we're kind of already there.
Give me your take on it. Do you think that's unethical to do that? Or do you think that seems like a decent intervention
As
in
a church?
sense? As a church, that may be out of place.
Yeah, I think that's pretty shady as a church, especially like the level that they were doing it to. As a business, I mean, I think it's a gray area. I would take it on a client-to-client basis, and I would be honest to the client and be like, hey, this is an option.
Ethically perplexing situation that you've been introduced to through social media marketing.
Oh, usually politics.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
An agency I worked for, we did an election cycle. Like, politicians have no grounds. Like, even these are like local politicians, so like on this, positions at the state level, they just have they don't care. Like, they don't care what's right and what's wrong. And so they're like, are we allowed to do this, or are we allowed to do this? So we're like literally flexing to the absolute boundaries of election law, of like what we can and can't do.
If someone was looking to get into digital marketing, what would you advise them to do?
Know what you can do. Our company, we have like specific needs, and so we're gonna hire somebody who can fill those needs. I didn't go to college personally, and I'm not against college. I'm also an artist, so like it looks a little different, but I think there's a lot of people out there who are like, oh, I'm going into marketing, and then they like kind of just learn along the way. But like what's valuable to us is like, if I had somebody who could, do all our video, or lead all our video, or do all of our graphic design, or lead that, or like do our like a portion of our pay-per-click advertising, or someone who's just like, hey, I'm really good at client management, like really definable skills, I think are important.
Going in and trying to sell their product with just learning what they have.
Oh, well, I studied at this
Institution.
Yeah, and I know these people, and it's like, that's great. Show me a portfolio where you sold something for a client.
I see.
So, like, we worked with a pool company. They basically saw a market here in Boise that was like, hey, there's a bunch of Californians moving here. All these people want a pool, but all these companies are like a year or two behind. If we open a pool business and we can promise that you'll have a pool, before the summer's over, then like we could sell a ton, and they could fulfill that because they had all the
tools,
the tools to do it. And so it was like, sweet. They didn't know how to get that message to the right people, and we were the missing link in that case of like, oh, and it was a big part of it was like email campaigns. So we bought like lists of email addresses, and then a little bit of like social and search engine ads, and then they sold millions this year.
Yeah.
So,
wow. You helped a company convince a bunch of people, or make them aware that they were actually interested in getting a pool, and you made it possible for them. So to me, coming from an economics background, it seems like there was a supply and there was a demand, and you helped match the supply to the demand.
Yeah.
How do you? A lot of people also do think as well, though, that marketing can be predatory on people and can make them do impulsive things they don't want to do. I think a good example of that would be OnlyFans, or something similar to that, where it either preys on human weakness. Do you think there's an unethical side in that sense in the marketing world?
There's definitely an ethical conundrum. One I've thought about quite a bit. If you trace back American marketing tactics and advertising, all stems from one place, and it's pretty problematic. It's Nazi Germany.
Wow. Okay.
Propaganda. From the early 1900s. This guy, he was the architect of propaganda for the Nazis, made his way to the U.S., but he kicked off like the whole advertising world, because I mean, it used to be, this is our product, it does great things, please buy it. Now it's subconscious in making decisions. Like Apple's a great example of like just, you know, trying to make you want something without you like realizing that you're wanting it. A really good example of, pretty sure this was his work, and it doesn't have as much context now, but like if you ever watched 80s, 90s movie, early 2000s, like it's pretty common after like a sex scene, someone will smoke a cigarette.
Sure.
And so that was like a thing, that was a thing that they would pay, tobacco companies would pay to have somebody smoke at the end of a sex scene, which is kind of crazy. Like, and so like that would sell more cigarettes because people would, in their brains, you know, see that, they're like, oh, that looked cool when I saw it, so I want to do that.
I'm gonna grab the dough out of the oven for the bread. I'll be right back. In the meantime, Jay, tell them about your music and why you write.
I've been doing music since I was 17 years old, and I've always kind of wanted to write, but it just seemed like a mountain that I wasn't going to climb. And then I had a bunch of time on my hands in 2022, like everyone else. Started writing songs. Amen.
Okay. Let's swap spots real quick. So right now, we're grabbing this dough. Navajo tacos, if you didn't know, are made on fried dough.
Do you know why?
No.
I could be totally wrong, but Indian reservations, they would do like a lot of fry bread meals.
Okay.
And so like in the Southwest, they would make tacos, and because it was, I guess it was like cheaper to do stuff with fry. That's where you get like Indian fry bread and stuff.
All right. Take butter on the pan. Probably I need to increase the heat a little bit. Put that up just a tad. We're gonna lay this bread down in there. It's not exactly fried, which I think is counterproductive to the meaning of this meal, but
Is this how you usually do it?
I've never made it before.
Okay, usually like I deep fry it.
So we could use the oil. My only beef with the oil is that this is a low side lid pan.
Yeah.
So it could, but you know, Miss Frizzle always says, get messy, make mistakes.
I mean, I don't want your house to burn down.
It won't burn down.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if this works.
Okay, let's try this, and then we'll try the other one for the next one. What has been the most fulfilling part of pursuing music for yourself?
It's been a multi-step journey because I started it just for me. Didn't intend on really sharing much, and it was just what I wanted, you know, things to sound like. From there, it became like a connection with some friends, and then playing live. It didn't take long to get like a little traction, and there's not many shows that I play where somebody doesn't come up to me afterwards either crying or just like pretty emotional in the way that a song lyric touched them or something, or and I feel like if there's people who haven't heard me before, usually people will come up and be like, wow, we didn't expect you to be this good. Which is cool.
Yeah.
But the thing that really like, I think makes a big difference is just like this girl DM'd me, and she was just like, I wrote down like all the words that I could, like, your music changed my life so much.
Wow. Because your liability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Who's been your biggest inspiration throughout the whole music process?
To start out, there's this guy here in Boise, Connor J. Lice, who I don't want to play small venues because I don't see a way that's fun for the amount of work that I'm doing. I don't see a place that I enjoy that. And then I saw this guy Connor, who's now become a friend, super rad dude. Like he would play a local brewery every once in a while, and then I just kind of was like, dude, honestly, if all I ever do is like just kind of play the same venues as this guy, that sounds great. Like I would say these two in the last year have actually, like, one's a comedian, one's a musician. Jelly Roll,
Okay.
who's like a mixed genre country guy. The way that he like treats his fans and his humility has impacted me quite a bit. I played a festival that he was also playing, that I was like walked off stage after I was playing, really pissed about how things went down, and like and then like heard him later on just talking about why he does what he does, and I was just like, oh dude, I was in the wrong headspace. Like I'm lucky just to be here, that I got to play music today. So, and then the other guy, I would say, I've loved like Bert Kreischer, the comedian. You know who that is?
No.
He's like the dude that takes his shirt off. He's kind of chubby, and he does like the machine bit.
Okay.
I went to his comedy tour here this summer, and at the end of it, like, I think someone like yelled something, that, like, you know, like, you're the best, or, and he started talking about, he's like, no, like, talked about why he does comedy, and just like started crying a ton, and like, it was this cool moment where, and he probably does it every night, but it seemed genuine in my opinion. Like when I say stuff, I say a lot of repeated things in my shows, but like that are sad or emotional, and I still think that they're, you know, fairly, like I mean it every time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was one of those situations. And so yeah, so I think like I look up to people like that who just don't take for granted what they're doing.
What do you say at your show and you mean every time? What's like an example of that?
I wrote this song called "Settle Down." It's about my friend who recently passed from cancer. She moved back. Because it was kind of like, okay, diagnosed, moving to California, and then, you know, we'll catch up when we can. So when they moved back, we just had a really honest conversation the night that they were back, and it was funny because right before she got diagnosed with cancer, I lived with her husband and her, and the three of us were talking about our summer, and I was just like, was worried about responsibilities and things like that. Like, oh, like we've got all these things to do, we can't go on all these trips, and then like that happens, like the nightmare scenario happens, and I told her, I was like, I was so wrong. And so like through her example and through like you know, living out the end of her life, she the line in the song is like, I'll never settle down. Or it's like, I might be sick and tired, but I'll never settle down. Why should I be so careful when at any moment I could, you know, not know I had something, or something could blow through this house and kill us all? You know? It's just like, it's so fleeting. And so yeah, I think that's,
yeah,
it's definitely heavier now when I'm like, yeah, she died. So
yeah, definitely. What advice do you have out there for those artists that are struggling to keep going on making their music and making their dreams come true? Because I feel like, you know, it's a long, arduous journey. It's not short.
Well, I'll be honest, there's a lot of people that should quit.
Okay.
And that's tough. Like, I've seen some acts that I'm just like, of people who have been doing music for years and years. I'm just like, oh, bro. I think it's good to give things a shot and to take risks, but I really think you have to assess, like, is this actually worth my time anymore?
Okay.
Because there's lots of really cool things to do in the music industry.
That is not
just
being...
And if you're not, you know, making... Like, you should do it... At the end of the day, you should do it because you love it. But if you're out there, like, trying to make it, you know, big or something, and it's just not working, I'm like, okay, time to change your strategy.
Totally. And
find a way to do it because you love it for longer.
Yeah. Cool. Jay, as we approach the end of our interview, I've got one question for you. What do you want to tell the people? What do you want the world to know?
I would say life is so worth living. It's worth taking stupid risks. And I think that people are worth getting to know, no matter how much of a douchebag they are. Like, I think so much of this world is meant to be enjoyed, and yeah, you should go out and do that.
Cool. All right, you heard it from Jay. Thank you guys for tuning in. Here we are with our Navajo tacos. Definitely not respecting the original creators of this dish. But we still thank you for this wonderful culinary addition to the world.